Hi, I'm Lindsay Juergens, and this is Leaders Like Us. Today we have Isabella Prado Gomez, a senior at Grand Island Senior High. And before we get started, I do want to take a moment to thank JBS. They are our series sponsor for Leaders Like Us. We greatly appreciate them, as well as 5 Points Bank for allowing us to shoot here in this location. So, Isabella, thank you so much for coming today to have this chat. I've been really excited to get to record with you because I absolutely identify you as a leader.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Okay, so I mentioned you're a senior at Grand Island Senior High, but you're also involved in like 3,024 things, right? Okay,
Yeah.
So why don't you just get started by talking a little bit about yourself, what you're involved in, and just sort of paint the picture of where you are right now.
Okay, so second semester senior, very scary and fun at the same time. As of now, I'm involved with Poetry Club, Unity Council. I'm a class officer, so we meet every week. Student Council. I'm also the representative for my Academy Advisory Board for the Business and Communication Academy, so there's that too. And I'm the Vice President of National Honor Society.
And what else is it you do? How do I know you?
Yes, the most important, student board representative.
So Isabella is the school board, the Grand Island Public Schools Board of Education student representative. And that is where I got to know you. And I think that's
definitely.
really, really cool.
I always forget about that. Not in a bad way, just because I'm always like,
you have a long list.
Yes, I'm always like, the most important.
The most important.
Yes.
So what is it that really stands out to you in your high school experience, especially now as you are sort of closing the book on public school for you?
Yeah.
Like, what has really stood out to you in the life of a student?
I think just like having the involvement that I've had like just this year compared to last year, and like how that's changed my mindset about school. Definitely like I enjoy it more. I've always been a school person, but I think like going to class and like having poetry club after school and like having to plan the homecoming like made my experience way better than just, I've always loved school just because I'm a nerd. But on the side of like being involved, I like found a new like kind of love for going to school that I didn't have like throughout my high school year that I lost. Like middle school, I had it, elementary the best, and then like kind of high school is a weird place, and you definitely lose a little momentum when you're,
Well, and you've shared with me in the past about, you had sort of retracted a little bit and pulled back, and then you sort of took a brave leap into getting involved in all of these things. And was there anyone in your life that was sort of encouraging you to be bold and try new things, or was it more internal for you?
I think it was more internal actually, and I had this amazing moment one time on Zoom with my teacher, and she was just like, "Hey Isabella, are you coming back next semester?" I was like, "No." And then she kind of told me like, if I had a daughter who was like junior year missing out, I would tell her to go to school, and I think that helped me definitely. And I remember I had like a quick response to her, and I was like, I don't really like school. I don't enjoy it. The teachers, don't really. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, that's more of a me problem. I was kind of...
Well, because you're referring to when you were a remote learner.
Yeah, remote learner on Zoom. And
right.
I definitely that teacher did kind of open my eyes to seeing, if you want to see negatively, that's all you're going to see, But,
and isn't that true?
Yeah, that's
just
very
about
true.
Anything.
Very
if
true.
You're choosing to look at something with a kind of a bad perspective and like, no, I just don't like it. It's just not for me. You kind of already decided, right? Like you're not really open to what the opportunities and experiences of something else could be.
Yeah, you automatically check out before you let yourself. So definitely that's helped me, and I appreciate that too. Like, I know she's told me like, hey, you don't have to be taking so much classes your senior year. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to struggle, but it's okay because, better struggle now than college. So things like that. And I think like, I always say like Grand Island Senior High is very like student focused, and there's always someone in the building that has your back.
That's good.
So I love that. And I hope more students find that. And
what sort of advice might you give a student who is sort of like where you were? So someone who's just a little apprehensive to get involved, they just don't feel like they necessarily have a place. Like what sort of actual step would you suggest they take?
I say, find your teacher. Find something you're interested in, your passion. I started off asking my junior teacher about a poetry club, and then the next year I had her as a teacher again, and she's like, hey, we have a poetry club now. I was like, isn't that amazing? So definitely finding someone in the building to talk to. It can be a simple adult, even it just having a place in the school you can be yourself. Start there. Find someone who has the same values and shares the same interests as you. And I think if there's one person who's interested in something, there's always a possibility, I guess, to start something,
Right.
like clubs. And so definitely find your person or find your spot. See where you fit in.
And I think you're really touching on a super important point, because I feel like a lot of times what happens with especially young people is you feel like you're the only person going through this thing.
Oh yeah.
It's so common to feel that way, and I definitely am not knocking a young person for feeling that way.
Yeah.
Again, it's so normal. But the truth is, you're not the only person in that little rowboat. You're not out by yourself. There are a lot of folks around you who have either experienced it or are experiencing it now. And so it does take a little bit of boldness to go, okay, maybe I'm not alone in this, and maybe I need to try to find some other people who might be like me, instead of sort of listening to that little voice in our head that says, nope, you're the only one who's ever experienced this. You're such a loner. Nobody gets you. It's kind of a deceiving voice.
Oh yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I mean, I've had friends who are graduated early because they just felt that way or things like that. But I think I kind of took a leap of faith going back to school, because I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this for myself, and I'm glad I did. I would not be sitting here,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I think it's all about just, take a look around, and I promise you there's someone who's struggling too, and it's not a bad thing to struggle, definitely not.
No, it isn't.
But.
And can you talk a little bit about, I know you've shared with me, and I only want you to share to your comfort level, but can you talk a little bit about why addressing mental health for young people is important to you?
Yes, definitely important to me, because earlier in my educational career, I went to the counselor's office, and I had a counselor maybe not give me the best advice, and that kind of stuck in my head, right? And I had this agenda that maybe it was a me issue or something that I could work on, Yeah. And I think that without mental health, you can't really, move on as a student. There's lots of help, it's not like a linear progression, definitely not. So and high school and middle school is a very hard, tough time for students, trying to fit in, just finding out what their passion in life. And it's a very hard ask to, what do you want to do in life? Such a broad question with all these certain things coming in. It
drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And I have an actual issue with that.
Yeah,
question.
and it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So mental health definitely brings me almost to tears, but also makes me smile, because I found some friends struggling too, and we're we have those topics in English class, and we're like, hey, are you okay today? Yeah. Sometimes just a walk around the hallway, or walking to Hula's to grab a cookie, or sitting down. You'll probably see me in the hallway a lot of times, just writing or journaling, because that's the way I found myself to be, at rest. So mental health, and I know there's teachers addressing the issues, I've had panic attacks at school, and then the next day my teacher was like, hey, Isabella, I seen these, I researched these tips, and I was like, she cares, and that really brought warmth to my heart. So
and that resonates with people, and again, I feel like that's a very human thing.
Yes.
To just know that somebody else cares matters so much.
Yes.
So much more than, did you get the paper in on time?
Yes.
And I'm not saying that doesn't matter.
Yes.
But what really matters is knowing that you're cared for and supported, because I am a person who believes that the paper isn't going to get on time, and your grades aren't going to be good if you are feeling like you're in a state of panic or upsetness that just won't go away, or it's almost like, are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? So basically, your baseline needs need to be met before you can do anything else. Is the message. So I feel like this is something that definitely applies to that.
Yeah.
And you have to be okay in order to get the other things done, is kind of what I'm saying.
Yes.
So good on you for finding communities of people to feel supported in your own peer group, then also being open to those teachers and adults in your life who care about you.
Yeah, and Maslow, we're just learning that in psychology. So,
okay.
yeah, and like even my psychology teacher, we like meditate the last 5 minutes of class,
Very good.
and that's like helpful. You know,
Yeah.
like just they always say be in the present, don't think
Yeah.
about the past, the future, all the assignments you have. And I'm just like,
Mhm.
you're right. You know, it's always good to like take a breather. You know,
Yes, it
breathe in,
is.
breathe out.
Right. Right. If you're always putting out
Yeah.
and you're never getting your tank sort
Yeah.
of refilled, well, how does that even work? You
Yeah.
know, like that doesn't make sense. We have to be able to sort of go, okay, all right.
Yeah, and then you kind
Take
of
a
have
breather.
that fear of like, when am I going to run out of this? You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's a very essential like part. It's always a, you know, but
Yeah.
yes, positive movements, mental health days, you know.
Yeah.
So that I know that made me happy, and that was like one of my when I got interviewed for the position as a student board representative. That was one of my things that was on my agendas, and even like student council has done some things with like even like the little bracelets, you know,
Yeah.
handing out pencils and small things like that. I think you know there's always a good step in the direction wherever it is in mental health.
Yeah. And I think that you do a really great job of leading others in that space. Okay, so you're a senior, obviously. So what would you say to people who are coming up behind you and they need to sort of fill those shoes of the current seniors, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's time for you to sort of step up. And again, takes a little bit of boldness, but it's so incredibly important. Would you have any advice for those up and coming leaders within high school?
Yes. Start a checklist, summer. You know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I don't care if it means following the teacher 50 times about it. I'm going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
Never take no for an answer. If the one teacher is not down for it, ask the other teacher, you know? Meet with the other counselor, meet with the other principal, just discuss, you know, make a list. What do you want to see changed in the school? When you leave Brown Senior High and you know, let's say my kids go to Brown Senior High, what is the growth, you know?
Yeah.
What do you want to see? What do you
Yeah.
want to see in the hallways change, you know? Things like that.
Yeah.
So,
What's something you personally would like to see changed right now?
right now,
Yeah.
I would definitely say, and I'm a people's person, I would say like building a relationship with your teacher, you know? I think I have a good like foot in that, but not everyone does. And
Yeah.
that's okay. That's not an expectation, but I feel like teachers and students can better come together, collaborate and discuss, and you know, things like that I think would be very essential. And I told this to someone in Independent, can't remember her name, but I mentioned, you know, feeling more than just a student, more than just like Isabella Prado, B student, A student, you know, 95% in the class, building that connection, gauging, you know, I'm struggling right now, how can I communicate this to the teacher without feeling, you know, knocked down or like more stress? Just having that like relationship, you know?
Relationships all
Yeah.
the time. They're so important.
Yeah, and I think I have such strong relationships with the teachers at Gish and like the admin that's why I like it, you know?
Yeah.
But obviously, if you don't have those positive relationships, you're going to look at them as a negative, you know, a negative. And I think it's just all about communication
Yeah. And trust.
and trust, which, yeah.
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 Well, Isabella, what's next for you? I
Yes.
know we've talked about it, so why don't you share a little bit
Yes,
on what you
okay.
are looking into?
End goal, my dream goal would be
Yeah.
marine biologist, I think.
A marine biologist
Yes, my
in
own-
Nebraska.
Yes,
Typical.
I know. I know. Bucket list is saving the orca from captivity or, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So for now, I'm looking into colleges. I definitely got in, which is good.
Yeah.
Um,
And where are you going?
I'm undecided as of now.
Okay.
But not worst comes to worst, but if best comes to best,
Uh-huh.
community college for 2 years and then transfer over, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I would get my degree in wildlife biology at UNK, and this is such a great thing too about Gish, is like they make connections for you. So I've talked to the Crane Trust scientists, and they've told me, you know, marine biology doesn't sound as crazy. Trust me.
Yeah.
There's a way, there's a will. There's a will, there's a way.
When
Sorry.
there's a will, there's
yeah.
a way.
So
Yes.
they definitely help on that. So
That's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah. And you're local now. Do
Yeah.
you anticipate moving away and staying away, or do you think you might come back? I mean, with marine biology,
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
How, but you could use that. I guess
Yeah.
what I'm curious about is you could use that education. Like
Yeah.
you said, wildlife biology,
Yeah.
right? Wildlife biology.
Yeah, wildlife
You could
biology.
definitely use that even like when you talked about the crane trust, things
Yeah,
of that nature.
things
Do you
like-
anticipate ever kind of coming back, or do you see yourself needing to be closer to a coast?
Yeah, Oregon is kind of my, so.
Closer to a coast.
Yeah, moving closer to the coast, but
Yeah.
definitely waiting on my parents first.
Yeah.
To just, I'm also not maybe as independent as I should be with my parents, but, that comes with being the youngest.
Yeah. And they love you and you love them. So
Yes.
I
Although they don't understand everything about, they're like, why are you at a 3-hour meeting? I'm just like, Mom, I promise I was,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to explain. She's like, these teachers make you do a lot of work. I'm like, I want to do it.
I want to do it.
I want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's very proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very neat. I can tell you that the reason I wanted to interview you is because I've had the opportunity to interview a lot of really cool people in our community, and I know we feel really fortunate to have been able to do that with leaders like us so far. But with you, you're in a very unique moment. You're about to launch into this next part of your life, but as of recently, you've been in this leadership role within GIPS or within GISH. So I'm curious what you think of when you think of a leader within the school. Like, what are those qualities? And then to also piggyback that, like, what are the skills that you've gained as a leader within GISH?
Okay. Loaded question. Very good question. I think a leader, when I think about a leader that I, at the end of the night, I want to be this, I want to be this. Equality, definitely being like a communicative, empathy, having communication skills and being able to, translate that to not everyone, to yourself too.
Yeah.
So having empathy, being a good leader, taking, being assertive in what you want, having good tenacity.
Yeah.
And being a very empathetic person and
Right.
resourceful.
I love that you said empathetic because I feel like there's often a huge misconception with leaders, more often than not referred to as like managers or bosses, where it's like all top down.
Yeah.
It's like, I have given you the information, just do it. I'm not looking for a lot of feedback. I don't really need to know where you are in your life. I've given you an instruction, so just carry it out. But good leadership, it always comes with strong empathy, because you're understanding that these humans in your world are having their own life experiences. And understanding that and wanting to understand that more, I think, is the sign of an incredible leader. So I think that's fantastic that you shared that. And what do you hope to see for yourself, like in the further development of your leadership skills?
Maybe being a little more assertive for my own self, you know? There's sometimes lots of things that I think I should speak up on, and then I redact or kind of think about, and then I'm like, you know what, I should have said that, regardless of what I thought, what I thought other people would think, because I'm Isabella and I have a voice and I should use it. And I think even like my spot on the board has been like, I want to say so much things, and like I know the issues we face at a school level definitely translate, we saw that last night's meeting, things like that. And I want to have that steady platform where I'm just like, these are my goals and I'm going to get here, and it may not be a pretty road, and it might be some stops, some turns, some curves, but I'm going to get there, and I'm not going to disregard my own personal beliefs or opinions,
Yes, because like you said, I am Isabella.
Yeah.
So
and I
got to keep that in your pocket.
Yeah. And teachers always tell me, Isabella, you don't have to cure cancer. And I'm like, you're the leader of the school sometimes. And I'm like, I kind of am. And I just, like, me being that type of person is I don't really just the way we started it. Like, I forgot I was a student board representative. Definitely didn't forget, but just the true nature of the true nature of how I am. I look at, I'm just a student at GIPS, I'm a student at Grand Island Senior High. I'm a senior who suffers from mental health. I'm a senior who has good days, who has bad days, who sometimes can excel at some things and not excel at some things. But at the end of the day, I'm just trying, and that's something I'm proud of every day, for getting out of bed, trying, and, to other students in, like, all grade levels, I'm proud of them, because I know it's hard. It's hard to be a student sometimes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I'm really glad to hear that you're proud of yourself just for applying that effort, because you're an incredible person, and I feel really fortunate to know you, and I get to learn from you. So thank you so much.
Yes.
So yes, thank you, Isabella, for joining us today for Leaders Like Us. Isabella Prado Gomez. Again, we just want to thank JBS for being our series sponsor for Leaders Like Us.